What if I told you that everything you've been waiting for has already started moving toward you, even if you can't see it yet? Right now, beneath the surface of your life, something powerful is shifting in your favor. And by the end of this message, you'll understand why nothing in your journey has ever truly been random or delayed. Welcome to Law of Assumption, a space where we explore the hidden power of your thoughts, beliefs, and inner assumptions in shaping your reality. In today's message, we dive into how everything in your life begins within you first, and how aligning your inner world with certainty and faith can transform your outer world into the life you desire. Listen closely, because this moment matters more than you think. Right now, as you breathe and exist in this very instant, something beyond your senses is already working for you. Even if it looks like nothing is changing, even if life feels paused or uncertain, there is a deeper order unfolding in silence. Under the law of assumption, what you accept as true within is already taking shape without. What seems like delay is not rejection, it is redirection. What looks like a closed door is not loss, it is guidance. Life is quietly rearranging itself so that what is meant for you arrives at the right time in the right way without resistance. Miracles do not start outside of you, they begin in your inner world. The moment you assume something is already yours, the unseen world begins to respond. Everything shifts in alignment with what you consistently believe and feel to be true. Not because you force it, but because your inner state leads reality. So stop thinking in terms of one day. Stop waiting for something far away. Bring your awareness into the present. The shift happens when you realize it is already done in the unseen. From that state, everything begins to reorganize itself. Right now, your life is not stuck. It is being adjusted. Circumstances are being positioned. People, timing, and opportunities are quietly moving into place. What you call silence is actually preparation. Your only real task is to assume, but not in a desperate way, in a calm, certain knowing. The kind of inner peace that does not question whether it will happen, because it already feels real within you. When you close your eyes and imagine your desire fulfilled, when you feel gratitude as if it is already complete, you are aligning yourself with that reality. And whatever you consistently embody inside must eventually show up outside. That is how manifestation works under the law of assumption. Not through chasing, but through being. Not through effort, but through inner certainty. Even when life looks still, something deeper is always moving. What appears like nothing is often the most active stage of transformation. Behind the scenes of your reality, unseen intelligence is working constantly. The same power that maintains nature, seasons, and life itself is also shaping your personal experience. It does not need noise or attention. It works silently, precisely, and without failure. Sometimes life feels paused. You may think nothing is happening. But in truth, those are often the moments where the most important restructuring is taking place. Just like roots grow underground before a tree appears above the surface, your results are forming in hidden layers first. Stillness is not stagnation. Delay is not denial. It is preparation. Everything you experience is being used to align you with what you have assumed to be true within. There is a larger pattern unfolding that you cannot always see in the moment, but it always makes sense in hindsight. Life connects in ways that only reveal themselves when the timing is right. Under divine intelligence, everything moves like a perfect composition. Every experience, even the confusing ones, becomes part of a larger harmony. When you begin to trust this, you stop forcing life. You stop panicking about outcomes. You stop trying to control every detail. Instead, you begin to rest in the awareness that things are already unfolding correctly. The more you accept this inner truth, the more peaceful you become. And in that peace, things begin to shift faster because resistance disappears. What you hold within always shapes what you see outside. The outer world is not independent. It reflects your inner assumptions. Nothing changes permanently in your external reality until your inner world changes first. This is why your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs matter so deeply. They are not random, they are instructions to reality. If your inner conversation is filled with doubt, you will experience more delay. If your inner state is filled with certainty and calm expectation, life begins to respond differently. When your mind, heart, and imagination move in the same direction, something powerful happens. You enter alignment, and in alignment, manifestation becomes natural. There is no contradiction inside you anymore. No part of you is arguing against your desire. You simply know it is yours. That state creates a magnetic pull. Circumstances shift without force. People appear at the right time. Doors open without struggle. Things begin to flow instead of resist. Think of it like tuning into a frequency. The signal already exists, but you only receive it when you match it internally. In the same way, everything you want already exists in possibility, but you experience it when your inner state matches it. The universe does not respond to words alone. It responds to the feeling behind them, to the assumption that it is already real. So instead of waiting, you align. Instead of doubting, you assume. Instead of chasing, you become. This is the present moment. It is the only place where creation actually happens. The past is just memory. The future is imagination. But right now is where everything forms. Most people delay their blessings by placing them in the future. They think it will come later, when conditions improve. But under the law of assumption, it is never about later. It is about now. The moment you fully accept something as true in consciousness, you step into its reality inwardly, and the outer world eventually follows that inner shift. When you are fully present, you are no longer chasing life. You are experiencing it as it unfolds through you. Every miracle begins in this awareness, not in struggle, but in presence, not in waiting, but in realization. What you see with physical eyes is always temporary. It is only the result of past inner states. It is not the source of your reality. If you only trust what you see, you stay limited. But if you trust what you assume within, you begin to reshape what appears outside. Faith is simply choosing the unseen over the visible, choosing inner certainty over outer evidence, not because you ignore reality, but because you understand how reality is formed. The visible world always lags behind consciousness, so what you assume now will become visible later. This is why it is important to hold your vision even when nothing seems to change, because the unseen is always first. When you stay steady in your assumption, even delays begin to transform. What once looked blocked starts to shift. What felt far begins to move closer. You are not reacting to life, you are shaping it from within. At its core, life does not require struggle. Miracles are not created through effort or pressure. They unfold when resistance is removed. You do not earn blessings through exhaustion, you allow them through alignment. Struggle comes from the belief that something is separate from you, but surrender comes from realizing it already belongs to you. Surrender is not giving up, it is letting go of resistance. It is trusting that what is meant for you is already in motion. When you stop forcing outcomes, life begins to respond more naturally. Things that felt stuck begin to flow again. Receiving is not about effort, it is about openness. It is about allowing your inner state to match what you desire without contradiction. When you live from that state, life becomes smoother. Less resistance, less struggle, more flow. Because you are no longer fighting life, you are cooperating with it. And as this understanding deepens, you begin to see something powerful. You are not waiting for your reality to change. You are the one changing it through your assumptions. You are not separate from the miracle. You are the awareness through which it is unfolding. So stop waiting for it to arrive. Step into it mentally and emotionally now. Feel it as real. Assume it is done. Live from that inner certainty. Because in truth, everything already exists in the unseen. And what you consistently assume will always become your experience in time. And when it finally appears in your outer world, you will realize it was never delayed at all. It was simply forming in silence until you became aligned enough to see it. Here is your fully rewritten and paraphrased script in natural, original, conversational English, while preserving the meaning, emotional depth, and overall message. I also replaced the channel mention with law of assumption as requested. My friend, listen carefully, because what I'm about to say is not ordinary. This moment you are in is powerful. As you sit there, breathing right now, something beyond what you can see is already working in your favor. Even if life looks still, even if nothing seems to be changing, there is a deeper movement happening beneath the surface of your reality. Under the law of assumption, what you accept within yourself as true is already unfolding in the unseen. What feels like delay is not rejection, it is direction. What looks like a closed door is actually life rearranging itself so that what belongs to you can reach you at the right time. Miracles don't begin in the outside world, they begin inside you. The moment you assume something is already yours, the invisible world begins to respond. Reality slowly shifts itself to match what you consistently believe and feel. So stop waiting for one day. Bring your awareness into now. The shift happens the moment you realize it is already done within consciousness. From there, everything starts moving into alignment. Right now, your life is not stuck. It is being adjusted in ways you cannot yet see. People, timing, opportunities, everything is quietly being positioned. What feels like silence is actually preparation. Your role is simple. Assume it is done. Not in desperation, but in calm certainty. the kind of knowing that does not question the outcome because it already feels real inside you. When you imagine your desire as complete and feel gratitude for it as if it has already happened, you step into alignment with it, and everything within and around you begins to respond. That is how creation works under the law of assumption, not through struggle but through identity, not through chasing but through being. Even when nothing seems to move, something is always moving. What looks like nothing happening is often the most important stage of transformation. Behind the scenes, life is constantly reorganizing itself. There is an intelligence governing everything you experience. It works silently without noise or attention, yet it never stops. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not working. Sometimes what feels like delay is actually deep preparation. Just like roots grow underground before a tree appears above the surface, your results are forming where your eyes cannot reach yet. Stillness is not failure. Delay is not denial. It is preparation for something that is being shaped for you. Life always follows an invisible order. Everything connects in ways you only understand later. Even confusing moments are part of a larger pattern that becomes clear in time. When you begin to trust this, you stop panicking and forcing outcomes. You begin to relax into the understanding that everything is already unfolding correctly. And in that inner calm, things begin to shift faster because resistance disappears. Your outer world is always reflecting your inner assumptions. Nothing changes outside until something changes inside first. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not random. They are instructions. They shape the reality you experience. If your inner world is filled with doubt, you experience delay. If it is filled with certainty, calm, and trust, life begins to respond differently. When your mind, heart, and imagination agree with each other, you enter alignment. And in that state, manifestation becomes natural. There is no internal conflict, no contradiction, just quiet knowing. That state creates a magnetic effect. Things begin to shift without force. Opportunities appear. Paths open. Life starts to flow instead of resist. Think of it like tuning a frequency. The reality already exists, but you experience it only when you match it internally. The universe responds not to words, but to the feeling behind them, to the assumption that it is already real. So instead of waiting, you align. Instead of doubting, you assume. Instead of chasing, you become. Now understand this deeply. The present moment is where everything is created. Not the past, not the future, but now. Most people delay their desires by pushing them into the future. But under the law of assumption, everything begins now, in consciousness. The moment you accept something as real within yourself, you step into it inwardly, and the outer world eventually follows. When you are fully present, you stop chasing life and start experiencing it as it unfolds through you. Every manifestation begins here, in awareness, not in struggle. What you see with physical eyes is always the result of past thinking. It is not the source of your reality. If you only believe what you see, you stay limited. But if you believe what you assume inside, you begin changing what appears outside. Faith is simply choosing inner certainty over outer appearance. The visible world is always behind consciousness, so what you assume now becomes what you see later. That is why holding your vision matters even when nothing looks different yet. When you remain steady inside your assumption, delay starts dissolving. What felt far begins to move closer. What felt blocked starts opening. You are not reacting to life, you are shaping it. At its core, life does not require struggle. Miracles are not created through pressure. They unfold when resistance is removed. You do not earn blessings through suffering. You allow them through alignment. Struggle comes from believing something is separate from you. Surrender comes from knowing it already belongs to you. Surrender is not giving up. It is letting go of resistance and trusting the process. When you stop forcing outcomes, life begins to flow naturally again. Receiving is about openness. It is about allowing your inner world to match your desire without conflict. And when you live in that state, life becomes lighter, clearer, and more effortless. Because now you are no longer fighting life, you are cooperating with it. And slowly you begin to realize something important. You are not waiting for reality to change. You are the one changing it through your assumptions. You are not separate from your miracle. You are the awareness through which it unfolds. So stop waiting for it to arrive. Step into it now in your mind and heart. Assume it is already yours. Feel it as real. Because in truth, everything already exists in the unseen. And what you consistently assume will always become your experience. And when it finally appears in your outer world, you will realize it was never delayed. It was simply forming until you were aligned enough to see it. Everything in your life is already moving under divine order. What looks uncertain has already been handled in the unseen. The moment you believed, everything began to shift in your favor. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is random. Faith is your bridge, assumption is your power, stillness is your proof that it is done. You don't need to chase what is already yours, you only need to align with it. So rest in that knowing, walk in gratitude, live as if it is already complete. Because it is. The blessing is not coming, it is already here. Believe it, assume it, live from it, and watch how your reality rises to meet your faith. And as you move forward, remember this: when you believe, everything begins to move. God has already moved everything in your favor. The core idea behind the law of assumption is simple but powerful. Your reality reflects what you consistently assume to be true within yourself. It suggests that your inner world is not just a reaction to life, but the cause of it. Whatever you accept as real in your thoughts and feelings eventually becomes your lived experience. This means your assumptions are always active, even when you are not aware of them. If you assume something is difficult, delayed, or impossible, your mind and emotions align with that belief and your actions unconsciously follow it. But if you assume something is already yours, already done, or already unfolding in your favor, your inner state begins to shift into certainty, and your outer world slowly reorganizes itself to match that state. It is not about forcing positive thinking or ignoring reality. It is about choosing what you consistently occupy in your imagination and emotional state. The focus is on living from the end result mentally, instead of waiting for it to appear physically. In that state, you start thinking, feeling, and behaving as the version of you who already has what you desire. Over time, this inner alignment changes how you respond to life. You stop reacting from fear and start acting from confidence. You become less focused on lack and more aware of possibility. The more natural your assumption becomes, the more your outer experiences begin to reflect it. In simple terms, the law of assumption teaches that nothing outside of you has power unless you give it power through belief. When your inner certainty becomes stronger than your external doubt, your reality begins to shift in subtle but meaningful ways, eventually matching the state you consistently hold within. Another important layer of the law of assumption is understanding that repetition builds reality. Your mind doesn't change because of one thought or one moment of belief. It changes because of what you repeatedly assume throughout the day. Whatever you keep returning to mentally and emotionally becomes your dominant state, and that dominant state is what shapes your experiences over time. This is why imagination plays such a key role. Your imagination is not separate from reality creation. It is the space where you rehearse what you choose to accept as real. When you consistently imagine yourself already having your desire, your mind starts to normalize that version of you. It begins to feel familiar, and what feels familiar eventually becomes your natural reality. Detachment is also a part of this process, not in the sense of giving up, but in the sense of removing resistance. When you are overly focused on when or how, you introduce doubt into your assumption. But when you settle into the feeling that it is already done, you stop arguing with reality and start embodying it. That emotional calm is a sign of alignment. Your external world often reflects old assumptions, not your current ones. That's why there can be a delay between inner change and outer change. But the key is consistency. If you persist in your new assumption without letting circumstances shake you, the outer world eventually adjusts. Another subtle point is identity. You don't just get what you want, you become the version of you who naturally has it. So instead of focusing on changing outcomes, you focus on shifting identity. Ask yourself, how would I think, feel, and behave if this was already true? Then start living from that version internally. Doubt will still appear sometimes, but under this understanding, doubt is just an old pattern trying to return. You don't need to fight it, just return to your chosen assumption. Every time you return, you strengthen it. Over time, this practice creates a stable inner state. And from that stability, your outer reality begins to reorganize itself in ways that match your assumption. What once felt distant starts to feel natural, and what felt impossible starts to unfold with less resistance. In the end, the law of assumption is about inner authority. It teaches that your sustained inner conviction is stronger than external evidence. And when you truly embody that, your life begins to reflect it. And so, as we reach the end of this message, take this truth with you and let it settle deep within your heart. Nothing in your life is happening by accident. Everything you have been through, everything you are experiencing right now, and everything that is still unfolding is part of a greater movement that you may not fully see yet. Under the law of assumption, your inner state is always leading your outer reality. What you consistently believe, assume, and accept as true is what your life is becoming. Even when things look delayed or unclear, nothing is standing still. Everything is being quietly rearranged in your favor. So stop measuring your life by appearances. Stop doubting because of what your eyes can see. Instead, return to your inner knowing. Assume it is already done. Feel it as real. Live from the end, not toward it. When you do this, resistance fades, confusion dissolves, and peace returns. You begin to realize you were never waiting for life to change. You were only waiting to align with what was already prepared for you. Faith is not hoping, faith is knowing. And when you know, you no longer chase, you no longer fear, and you no longer question the process. You rest in certainty. So carry this forward. Everything is already in motion, everything is already working, and everything is already unfolding in your favor. The blessing is not on its way. It is already here in the unseen, waiting for your awareness to meet it. Believe it, assume it, live from it, and let your life become the reflection of that inner truth. If this message resonated with you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Law of Assumption, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. And in the comments, drop the word already done if you believe everything is already working in your favor and you're walking in that mindset.